Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you how I spent my weekend and what we had for dinner, which includes a little bit of family fun and also prepping for Thanksgiving. The full recipe for the pies that I'm making in this video will be in my upcoming Thanksgiving video. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching my channel. I appreciate all of the support that I get, and I love reading your comments. If you find that you like this content, please make sure that you subscribe so that you can see all of my future videos. Now let's get started. Friday, and I am going to do a really easy, quick dinner in the crock pot. We have a lot going on today, so I'm using these Italian style meatballs from Aldi. Hold on, I gotta get the scissors to open them. Okay, now we're back at it. So I have a bag of meatballs that I'm just gonna throw in here, and then I'm gonna put in some of these tomatoes. And I'm doing it like this because I just don't want to have to stir. And then I have a jar of pasta sauce that was in my fridge from when we made pizzas the other night. So I'm going to pour some of that in there. And a while back we got these cheese raviolis by mistake from Walmart. They substituted these raviolis for some tortellini that we ordered, and we don't usually eat these kind of things, but I'm gonna throw them in there. Great, I see ice crystals on them. I hope that doesn't mess them up. Hold on a minute. Okay, well, the raviolis are in the crock pot in one big solid block, so possibly at some point before I purchased them, they thawed out a little and then refroze together. I don't know. I'm a little worried about how they're going to turn out at this point. So I have another bag of meatballs, more tomatoes. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and put all of those in there. Another can of pasta sauce. I don't know. I'm going to let it go like this for a little while and see what happens. I'll probably add some mozzarella cheese and possibly some ricotta. I might throw in some diced onions, and we'll see. But we're going to start with this for now, and we'll see how it looks in a couple hours. After a couple hours, I just came back and I made sure everything was stirred up and broken apart. Those raviolis were frozen all together. I added some shredded cheese, and I just put the lid back on and let it continue to heat until we were ready to eat. And a couple hours later, after having some fun with the grandkids and doing some pie making and some cleaning and some decorating, I took the lid off and we served it up. This is how it turned out. It was actually really good. We ended up liking these Aldi's meatballs. Aldi's has been surprising me a lot lately. Cameron said these were fancy ravioli, which made me giggle. And so since we were being fancy, we just have our dinner on these fancy paper plates.
How do you like it? Good. Very good.
You should have let it cool down. The next morning I had to wake the grandkids up bright and early. Well, not so bright, it was still dark, but they had a soccer game that we had to get to. So Miss Haley ended up on the floor apparently instead of on the air mattress. And Shane was not quite ready to get up yet. Took a while to get some smiles out of him, but we got him eventually. Once I returned home, I got busy making homemade pecan pies. Never have I ever made pecan pies. I thought that they were very complicated, and only after I began and started looking at the recipe, I would be that person to start making something and then read the recipe, did I realize that you actually just pour the ingredients into the pie crust and bake. These are Bill's favorite pies, so I was making them to please him for Thanksgiving. And so I had not had pecan pie before, and I tried this and was like, wow, what have I been doing all my life? So anyway, the full recipe is going to be in my Thanksgiving prep video, and you can find it there when I get it posted. And I am really working hard on getting that video ready for everyone. And like I said, this was one of the busiest weekends that I've had in a long time, and I really kind of wore myself out. I mean, I was up on the house putting Christmas lights up. I cleaned several rooms in the house, up and down the stairs, putting things in the basement, you name it. So I got tired out pretty quick. And I had these rotisserie chickens that I had left over from when we had chicken and salad. So I was making sure that I used them up. And here I'm just deboning these chickens and getting the chicken meat into a large pot. I made sure that I put in the, what do you call it? The stuff that's like jelly in the bottom, the fat or the broth, so that it would melt down and give it some flavor. I put in a couple of quarts of water, a chopped onion, which really added a lot of flavor to this chicken broth. And then I put in some poultry seasoning and some garlic and onion powder. I just stirred all of that good stuff around. And the water is heating up. I'm just making sure that that gelatin, I don't know how you say it, but anyway, the fat and broth is getting cooked in and going to give it lots of nice flavor. Meanwhile, I cut up my canned biscuits into smaller pieces, like bite-sized. And when that broth was nice and hot and bubbly, I put the biscuit pieces into the liquid. And I have found that if you press your biscuit dough down a little with your fingers and make it kind of flat, that it holds its shape better. Otherwise, it'll get really bubbly, and that's fine if that's how you like it. And so these dumplings just take a few minutes to cook in this boiling broth. And so I'm just working on getting all of these biscuit pieces mashed down and into the liquid as fast as I can, stirring them in and kind of getting them mixed in to make more room in this pot for the rest of my dumplings. And I put the lid on so they can finish cooking. And this is how the biscuits or the chicken and dumplings is so far. I added a little bit of milk and cornstarch to it. And then some parsley just to give us some flavor. You can add other vegetables as well if that's what you like in your chicken and dumplings. I just didn't have any, and I just wanted to make sure that I had something going on the stove while I was making these pies so that we would have dinner. I was actually going out to have appetizers and a drink with a friend, so I wanted to make sure that the guys had something to eat for dinner while I was gone. And I have been requested to make chicken and dumplings for quite a while, and so I thought today was a good day. I just happened to have a can of biscuits and a couple of leftover rotisserie chickens in my fridge, so perfect. And I just turned the heat down on these chicken and dumplings and let that sauce thicken up a little bit, and that was all there was to this really easy chicken and dumplings. We did cut into one of the pecan pies and had that with our chicken and dumplings for dinner that night. So I think that was just a perfect combination. And like I said, I was really starting to feel some holiday stress going on. And sometimes you just need a good friend to reel you in and take you out for a margarita and some appetizers. And so that's where I was at this point. And this was a blackberry margarita. It was so good. Just one though, and then it was back home and back to work. And since we were having some warmer weather on Sunday, I decided to string up some lights while I had a chance. And this is the first round. I mean, there's always phases when I do something. So this was phase one, and I was working on getting our tree decorated as well. And so while I was at the store earlier, I found this candle. I thought it was so cute at Dollar General. I like the little pot. It looks like a little stock pot to me. So I put that on my stove and I lit it, and I was freezing from being outside putting those lights up. So I started my oven up really early so that I could get warmed up in my kitchen. I tend to do that in the colder months, is start my oven up, and I will use it to bake or whatever, just to get that extra heat in the house and just be all nice and toasty. So I am making tuna casserole on this day, and my sons happen to love tuna casserole. They ask for it all the time, but my husband hates it, so we don't usually eat it very often. And so when I was thinking about how am I going to make this tuna casserole, I was looking for a Crock tuna casserole. I could not really find it on Pinterest, and so I'm like, I know it has to exist. I mean, tuna and chicken dishes are very, very similar, and I could find a lot of the Crock chicken casserole, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with it and just make it with tuna. And so I just put some butter in my skillet, and I heated up the cream cheese until it was melty. I used a half a block, and then I used 1 can of cream of mushroom soup and 1 can of cream of chicken soup. And I just get that all mixed together, and the cream cheese is still working on getting melted. I could have put it in the microwave before I started just to get it nice and soft before beginning, but I had some time and it's not a big deal. I just kept moving it so that these soups and the cheese weren't sticking to the bottom of the pan. I have some water boiling for the noodles and then some peas in the back. Cameron doesn't like peas, so that's why I didn't add them to the tuna casserole. And once the soup and the cream cheese and the butter is looking nice and smooth, then I turn it down. And then I add about a half a cup of sour cream. And this is like the pretty standard recipe for Crock chicken, is cream cheese and the cream soup, sour cream, some butter, usually just, whatever to make it really rich, and bacon. And so I didn't plan ahead of time. I meant to, but I was outdoors, and my hanging up Christmas lights also turned into pruning rose bushes and you know, it's just like one thing goes to another. I made a huge mess out of our yard and our front porch, but I do plan on getting back to it. So instead of frying up bacon pieces, I just put some of the real bacon pieces in it. And so I'm adding some tuna next, and I did end up using about 4 cans, these smaller size cans in this tuna casserole. So I'm just getting that all mixed together. My water is still heating up. It hasn't come to a boil yet. And I'm adding a little garlic and onion powder because I wanted to have some good flavor. And then, of course, I always add a lot of black pepper to tuna casserole. And this is not what my regular tuna casserole would look like, but like I was saying, I was looking for something a little different and decided to see how it would turn out if we did like a cracked out tuna casserole. So to go on top, I am just crushing up some Ritz crackers. I use 1 sleeve of crackers. And I'm adding some cheddar cheese, shredded. Just mixing that all in. I kind of think that I would have liked it better without the cheese. Kind of weird with cheese. Sometimes I like it and sometimes I don't. And so I'm using some of these spiral noodles. I didn't have enough of the egg noodles in my pantry, but I had a lot of these noodles. So this is what we're going with. I did have one of my older sons over to spend the weekend. It was his day to come stay with us and do his laundry, and he just likes to come about every weekend or every other weekend and spend time with the family. And so then also this is like one of my other grown sons' absolute favorite meals. And so he was out hunting on this day, and I texted him and told him come by and eat and what I was making. And so he came over and he ate dinner with us too. So we had a lot of mouths to feed, and that's kind of how it goes in our family. We don't exactly know who's all going to show up and eat, and that's how I like it. I like my kids to know that they can come home and have dinner anytime they want to, no matter how old they are. And so I am just going to smooth this around now in my pan, and this is an oven safe skillet. And so I'm going to just put this one right in the oven. I use this big old skillet for a lot of stuff. You see me making big size meals quite often. Like I said, I have a lot of people that eat at our house. And so I am just adding those Ritz crackers right on top. I don't know why it looks like I am like bam throwing them on there. But anyway, so I get them all scattered around on top, and I come back with some melted butter, and just so that they get that really crisp, buttery taste going when they bake. And then I'm just going to put this in the oven. And I did put it in for 375 for about 25-30 minutes. And once it was nice and golden on top, I just served it up. And so, yeah, this was actually really good. It was a nice little change. I do prefer my way of making it, which is really, really basic with just cream of mushroom soup and the peas in the casserole and topped with the crackers. Really simple, but my son, who happens to be the one that asks for it all the time, he said he likes it the other way too. But this was also good. I want to thank you for watching my video, and if you enjoyed this content, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button. I love reading your comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.